Welcome to another episode of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Tonight we have a great show for you guys. I have a very special guest, Richard Westerlund, who is the head basketball coach and athletic director at Great Lakes Christian College. And we're going to talk about the Kevin Durant news and the Miami Dolphins drama. So let's get started.
Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And to kick that off, let's bring in that special guest, Richard Westerlund. Richard, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Jasmine?
I'm doing well. I feel like we're going to have a great conversation. So just to start off, let's talk about you, who you are, what you're currently doing to the audience, and just give you a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm the head men's basketball coach and the director of athletics here at Great Lakes Christian College. I'm entering my 5th year here at Great Lakes. We're located in Lansing, Michigan. And so just really fortunate to be here and the opportunity and the platform that I have to serve my student athletes and serve my college. We've just got a really special culture here at Great Lakes. And so I couldn't be more thankful to be in the position that I'm in.
Right. And speaking of culture, I did a little bit of digging, and you completely changed the culture at this college. What was that process like, coming in and completely changing the logo, changing the face of this organization to make it better?
Well, I think first off, I don't want to take all that credit, because I think that in order for it to happen, we had to have a tremendous administration. And so we have tremendous leadership here at Great Lakes. My president, Larry Carter, our former president, Larry Carter, really believed in the vision and wanted to pour some resources into athletics. My boss, my vice president, Greg Stauffer, our VP of academics, Sam Long, our VP of advancement, Phil Beavers, and now my current president, Frank Weller. They have all just made a huge commitment to athletics that's allowed us to be able to make these investments into our college, to be able to change the culture. And they really believed in what we were trying to do, which was, our mission at Great Lakes is to prepare servant leaders for the church in the world. And so we've been able to really influence some kids with our platform and with our education. And then while using athletics as that classroom. For me, at least like in my own life, my coaches had such a huge impact on my life. Josh Beers, Luke Gibson, Leon Thomas, Glenn Texiera, Dave Netz. I mean, I've had so many great coaches who've poured into me to allow me to be in the place where I'm at. And I believe that athletics is that classroom. Like, again, I love knowledge. I love learning. But to me, there's no better classroom than athletics. And Great Lakes, we give our student athletes the opportunity to learn those life lessons through athletics.
That's phenomenal. And me personally, I am a college athlete. I play flag football. And just being on the field, being on those different places and being with coaches and teammates is very important to learn. Like, you can't, sit in the classroom and say, okay, hey, we're going to sit and watch film. I get you learn different things, but being there with your teammates, being there with the coaches and learning is a very powerful thing. But you mentioned, it's a collective effort. What is it for you that, how were you able to juggle being athletic director and being a coach at the same time? Because that's a huge thing to do, like doing both at the same time.
Well, I think my first year here at Great Lakes, we only had 2 sports. We had men's and women's basketball. And I joke with people that my first year at Great Lakes, I was a men's basketball coach first and AD second. But as we've grown consistently, now we're at 5 sports. We have over 100 student athletes now, growing from when we first got here at 30 student athletes to over 100. Now I'm an athletic director who's also a men's basketball coach. But part of that collective effort is we've really established a strong culture within our men's basketball program that allows our guys to be leaders themselves. And so I really try to empower my guys to lead and to follow our culture and really pour into our young people, so that leadership is filtering down. So we spend a lot of time with our upperclassmen to try and train them and make sure they know what's acceptable in our culture, what fits in and what doesn't, so that way they can pass that on to our younger guys. I have a great assistant coach, Elijah Kess, who played for me for a year, and now he's carrying that torch for me as well, and consistently pushing that mission and our vision that we have for our program. I have an awesome character coach, Ron Kleppel, who pours into our guys on a weekly basis as well, just to like give them another outlet of someone who can pour into their lives spiritually, as well as Ron was the old athletic director here. And so like he's got a lot of experience with how the college works. And it just gives the guys just another resource that they can go to.
Right. And being that this is a Christian school, because I have experience when I saw you worked at a Christian school, it was very awesome because I go to a school that's a Christian school also. How important is it to have a Christian school and be able to incorporate it within sports? Like, how important is that to have a spiritual connection between coaches, between players, between staff, and the whole student body? How important is that?
I think it's very important. For me, all I've really known is Christian education. I went to Christian elementary school. I went to Christian high school. I went to Bible college. I got my master's from a Christian university. My first job was at a Christian college. Then I had 2 years at a state school. And for me, I really appreciated the fact of working with like-minded people. And so having an opportunity to share my faith and go through our faith journey together is something that I really value. And it's funny, when I wanted to get into coaching, I never thought that this would be my ministry. It was never anything that I thought I would say, you know what, this is where God has me. This is what, I'm supposed to be doing. Like I thought I was going to be in a state school. I had dreams of going bigger places than just a small Christian college. But what I found is that, to bloom where I'm planted, and this is where God has placed me. And I found so much joy in the fact that I get to use my faith and use my journey and talk about that and be transparent about that with my guys and with my student athletes, and that we're going to be able to do life together through our spiritual walk, because it is hard, and I think that in our culture that we have in today's world that is pulling so many people farther and farther away from what a biblical worldview is, I think a Christian higher education is so valuable. And I think our professors here at Great Lakes Christian College do such a tremendous job of incorporating their faith and teaching the Bible to our students, that when you come here, no matter where you're at in your faith journey, no matter what your knowledge of the Bible is, our professors are going to love you and show you Jesus. And we really do a great job of training our students to be servant leaders for the church in the world.
And that's so powerful because you can't do anything without God leading you in your life. Like he should be the number one. He places us in places where we think like, why am I here? And then in the long run, it makes sense, and for you saying that, you didn't imagine being here, you were going a different route. You were thinking of going somewhere else. And God said, no, I'm going to place you here. And you're doing great things for this college and building connections, building relationships with these young players and the staff is phenomenal to see. But your brother, you have a brother that coaches named Sean. Tell us a little bit about him. And is there a rivalry between you two?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a rivalry. We're naturally competitive. So Sean's my identical twin. He has a face made for radio. We love him, but he has a face made for radio. He coaches at Bryn Athyn College in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Division III. He's rebuilding that program. He's doing a great job. We actually played against each other this last season. And we actually came on your show to talk a little bit about that matchup. Yes. And that was a lot of fun. We actually are playing again December 10th. So you might want us back on the show because I think that's going to be some really good content for sure. But the older twin, the better twin, our team won, right? So Sean's team did not win. But, Sean, he did everything in his power to not give us a fair shake. I mean, we won a shoot-around time. He only gave us he offered a 7 a.m. shoot-around time. Now, Jasmine, we're not getting up at 7 a.m. to do a shoot-around. No chance. So then he asked us, we're doing the warm-ups, okay? And, there's a certain game ball. He has like 6 of them. Okay, I said, can we get 2 to warm up with? No, he didn't even give us the right balls to warm up with. But you know what? Hungry dogs find a way, and we were able to find a way to win on the road in a hostile environment. It was a lot of fun. But no, seriously, coaching against Sean was a blast. When we got into coaching together at Hartford Christian School in Darlington, Maryland. And that's where Sean and I's love for coaching really started. You know, we would drive an hour there, hour back from college. And it was just a tremendous experience. And those memories that we have are something that we'll always cherish. And then the opportunity to coach against him was just so special. He does such a great job. I think he is one of the best coaches in the country. I think he's the best at instilling his culture. His guys are ride or die for him. They are completely bought into what he's doing. And so Brent Athyn is definitely a team to watch. I think that they'll win the CSAC this year, their conference.
Wow.
And so you might see them at the NCAA Division III National Tournament. I have high expectations for him and his group. Not many people realize it. They had 11 games where they lost by single digits. And so they were right there. They were a young team learning how to win. They were a team made up of all freshmen and sophomores. And so I think it's going to be really scary what his team will do this year.
Yeah, and just having you two brothers, like you guys were on here before, and you know, it was a while ago, but you know, just having that is refreshing. And then, you know, you guys being competitive against each other, you know how siblings are. We're like, you know, we're better, we're this. I'm the oldest of two. I have a little sister, but what made you guys, like, especially your journey? You guys are both phenomenal coaches. What inspired you to coach? I know you've coached, like you have a whole history of coaching, even starting at the age of 19. Am I correct?
Yep, that's correct.
How was that? And then you winning a state title, like, you know, a few years later. How was that experience for you?
Well, I think, like, for me, I've always known I wanted to coach. And part of the reason why I knew I've known since my sophomore year of high school that I wanted to coach. And really for me, I wanted to coach because I had so many great coaches pouring into me that impacted my life in such a great way. Outside of my parents, my coaches and my mentors, you know, they're the most influential people in my life. And I would not be where I'm at today without those men pouring into me. Again, I'm indebted to Josh Beers, to Luke Gibson, to Glenn Texier, to Leon Thomas, to Dave Netz, right? There's so many men who just went alongside me and poured into me, and really inspired me to continue to grow, as a person, and really saw something in me more than maybe what I saw in myself, you know. And my mom did such a great job of surrounding me with those men. And so I was just so grateful for my experience. And then what it did for me is, because my life was impacted in such a great way, I want to have that same impact on my players' lives, you know. And so my goal is to build meaningful relationships and meaningful connections with my players and their families. And so, you know, as far as like the success I've had as coaching, you know, I deflect that to my players, because again, the players make the coach. You know, you can be the best X's and O's guys, but if you don't have the dudes, you know, when it comes down to it, it's about the Jimmy, the X and the O's. Okay. I've had quite a few really good Jimmys and Joes from my time at high school. You know, when we won that state championship, I had a great leader in John Wilson, Sean Hughes, Zach Dawson, Nate Good, Phil Good. I mean, it was just a young group that grew together. And then as that success happened at Crossroads, we had Andy Carson, Corey Harris, Todd James, Ike Bowles. As we go to Wright State Lake, Jordan Gorman, Nick Passano, Zacharias Millhouse, Quincy Green, Jalen Huff. As we get to Great Lakes, I've been super blessed with the amount of players I've had here. Jaquin Jones, Lance Adams, Isaiah Reed, Trent Temple, Elijah Kest, Kylan Shipp, TQ Belcher, Whitney Harris. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on of all the great players we've had here at Great Lakes. Jamal Eggleston. I mean, last year we had 7 guys on our roster at Great Lakes that scored 1,000 points. You know, and so again, it's not me as much as it is my players, you know, and that they've made me look really, really good. And so I'm really thankful for that. I've had great coaches that have come alongside me with, you know, Elijah Kest, Matt Parks, Quincy Green, Jaquin Jones has assisted me. Josh Clausen's been an assistant for me. So I've had a lot of really good assistants that have helped me grow as well. Connor Haar has been one of the best assistants I've ever had. And so again, like, it takes a village. You know, I know as the head coach, I might get some credit, but I want to deflect that credit to my assistants. I want to deflect that credit to my players, because again, they're the ones who should be getting the spotlight here.
Right. And you being a player's coach, we need more coaches like that, you know, not coaches like, I'm taking all of the credit, but you wouldn't, you know, you're giving all of your props to all of your players, all your staff. And even you mentioned a bunch of people, including Leon, that got you here, that inspired you to be here. And not to mention, Mom is watching. So hi, Mom.
Hey, Mama.
And yeah, she's there. I saw her in the comments. But what can we expect? Tell the audience what we can expect from Great Lakes College, Christian College in basketball. What can we expect from you guys this season?
Well, I mean, for us, we're hunting to be the best version of ourselves. You know, I think that talent has never been an issue in our program. We've always had one of the more talented teams in the country. And again, this year, I expect us to be extremely talented. I think it might be one of the most talented groups I've ever had, you know. But, you know, what our goal is right now in the preseason as guys are moving back on campus is we're looking to build meaningful connections. We're looking to create that hunger about us. We fell below our expectations last year. You know, our goal was to win the national championship, and we lost in the Final Four. And it was a group that probably should have won the national championship, but unfortunately, we didn't play our best basketball at the right time of the year, and we got beat. You know, it's a make or miss game, and we didn't make enough shots when it mattered. And so for us, we're just looking to get better every day, embrace the process. We're not trying to play March in August. And so do I have high expectations for this group? Yes, I do. But like for us, you know, my big focus right now is how can we get better, you know, August 8th? How can we get better August 9th? And the more we stack those days, the better chance we have to give ourselves an opportunity to play meaningful basketball late in the season.
Right. And I wish you guys the best of luck. And I'm 100% sure you guys are going to meet your goals and win a title. I'm like really excited for you guys. And you are a phenomenal coach. Like your track record is amazing. But before we go to break, I want to ask you a question. We talked about this before we got on. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Well, there's two. Okay. One is a steak, right? Love a good ribeye. You know, thank you, Dad. He raised me on some good steak, okay? And then I'm also a big pasta fan. I love me some chicken parm, okay? You know, chicken parm and steak, like those are the two best. Even though I'm from Maryland, I'm not a seafood guy. I think it's overrated. You know, why do we want to eat the crustaceans, the bottom feeders? Like, it's not for me, you know?
Seafood is so good though, but when you said pasta, pasta is probably the number one on my list. I love pasta. Anything pasta, I'm all about it. But seafood is phenomenal. It's so
Jasmine,
good.
Why do you want to wrestle with a crab just to get a little bit of meat when you know what? It's easier just to cut your steak and eat a delicious ribeye. Why do you? And then you could potentially cut your fingers and your thumbs from trying to wrestle with a crab. Okay, well if you get Old Bay in your cuts, like it's not worth it to me. Just give me some cow, girl. Give me some cow.
Now, steak obviously is very good. Boss said no seafood. Yes, he does not like seafood, guys. But that's okay. He likes pasta, which is good. He likes steak. It's good. But thank you, Coach, so much for being a guest on my show. It's always a pleasure. And I hope to have you and your brother back on here so you guys can chop it up and different things like that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I appreciate you for having me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. So that wraps up tonight's show, or that wraps up this section of the show. We're going to head into a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk the NBA, what Kevin Durant's doing, and the Miami Dolphins drama. So we'll be right back.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you The Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller, that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impressions Sports Talk. And the voices you just heard were from Kelly Johnson and Dion Hunter. If you guys want voiceover work done for your projects, you can contact Leon Thomas at theleonthomasgroup.com. You'll see that website on the screen shortly. And then if you want to be a guest on my show and see past episodes of Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. So let's head into the second segment. You can bring in my dad and Jeremiah. We're going to talk first about the
We lost the sound a little bit, but it's no problem. Ms. Pollock, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. You know, we're having a good conversation. She just had a great conversation with just her interview. I really enjoyed watching that. Jasmine will be back with us in 1 second. She has had a little bit technical difficulties, but we're going to get right into it. Getting started, of course, we're going to talk about the Kevin Durant situation, of course, Miami. Jasmine?
Yes, I am back. So let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. So Stephen Ross, the owner, has been suspended until October 17th due to tampering. So the whole situation was he was tampering with Tom Brady while Tom Brady was under contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then, of course, Sean Payton, who is the ex-coach of the Saints. So he was basically having unprofessional, unlawful conversations with both of their agents, which was obviously illegal. You can't do things like that. And the Dolphins lose a first-round pick in 2023, and they lose a third-round pick in 2024, and he's been fined $1.5 million. So, Dad, I want to start with you. What is your reaction to this? No, the whole world was blowing. I mean, even Dad, you had some friends that say, why isn't Brady being, in trouble? What do you say to all of that?
So basically, my opinion is that's the Tom Brady effect. I mean, you got a team or a coach that's willing to risk all of that to get Tom Brady, which tells you just how the magnitude of what he means to the NFL and what people think he can do for their organization. So I can see it on that end. The owner was just a little bit too overzealous. He didn't give it time. He wanted to, start to plant the seeds of, hey, come to Miami, this, that, and the other, and he just did it at the wrong time. There are rules. Rules are rules for a reason, and that's to try to make competition fair. Sometimes I wonder how often this does happen and we don't hear about it, because it's basically something where somebody could be talking word of mouth, having private visits, and it'd be very difficult to follow up to that consistently because as long as somebody's not signing contracts and different things like that, this is a difficult one, to follow up to. But I guess there was plenty, enough evidence for the NFL to, hold him accountable. Yes, I'm glad that this has happened. I hope this sends a message throughout the whole league. Let's keep it within the rules, guys. Everybody wants to win. I understand that, but we got to keep it within the rules.
Right. Jeremiah, you're a diehard Dolphins fan. What was your reaction to this news? And did Stephen Ross get a slap on the wrist?
Yes, to me, he did get a slap on the wrist. Because you already see when it came to his statement after he put out after this whole situation, I mean, it was just, I told you so type thing only to Brian Flores, but it's taking no accountability.
Yes.
To him, at the end of the day, he just wants this to just pass over, and it's just like, oh, they just fined me 1 million, although he's a billionaire. You find me 1 million, but not only he doesn't suffer, but the whole team suffered more than him. And I feel like that is it's a huge letdown, especially for this Dolphins team that just has so many good things going for it. Now you're putting it back into the spotlight of much negative things. Now you have Tua just looking like, over the summer, Ross was just saying, we're all for him. You had the thing saying we're all for him. Forget what Flores was saying. Just fire him. Now he's finding out right now that you were just going after Brady for 3 whole years, about to go in 4 years, because just like Mr. Pollock said, it's just the Brady effect. That's just how good he was, and plus the Dolphins would have did anything, and you get nothing at the end with the outcome.
And not to mention what the plan is to get Sean Payton as head coach, to get Brady there as part owner as well while he was playing. So there was a lot of big moves that they were trying to make in order for that to happen. But I think when Brian Flores, filed the lawsuit and started, hey, this is what's happening, I think that's when that all ceased. But for me, it like you said, Jeremiah, it's really unfortunate for the Dolphins, because the Dolphins are going through so much right now. You have a new coach. Literally, we haven't seen him coach their first game yet. And all of this is happening. Then you have Tyreek Hill, hasn't played a first game yet with the Miami Dolphins. So there's a lot of things going on that we're trying to see what the identity of this Dolphins team looks like. And when you have Stephen Ross, who has been doing questionable things in the past, come back and this happens, it's like, dang, like we're trying to move in the right direction. So it is unfortunate. But Dad, does your view on tampering change? Like, we hear about these stories, even in the NBA, of these guys jumping ship to different teams, but does tampering, should they be more harsh when it comes to tampering with owners, or should it just, remain the same how it is now?
Well, my first thing is the league is ran by owners. Let's be honest about that. I mean, the league is ran by billionaires. They have a commissioner that's appointed by the owners. So, yes, they have to, show the accountability, but it's still ran by owners. And I do think out of all the leagues, and I'm sure some people will disagree with this, but I think NFL has the best system for these types of situations. It seems like every other league, you see people moving in, moving out, getting out of contracts, contract talks throughout the year. But it seems like the NFL has a much tougher penalty for someone talking to someone within their contract, because you look at something like Kevin Durant and him being 4 years in his contract. There's conversations all over the place about him going here, going there. Yes, it involves the team, so I guess that makes it right, but it still is the same type of situation to me. But in the NFL, someone says hello, leaves an email or something, it's an issue. So I
Yeah.
do think that they have to have rules. I think that's important. But we have to be very clear that the league is ran by owners, and there's things going on behind the scenes that we just don't have information about.
Right.
And it's very hard for me to believe in something that, could be just a conversation that you will know about these types of meetings consistently enough to where it can be a big issue. I mean, he got caught because other people were involved, but
Yeah.
there's so many times I'm sure this is happening to where
Hmm.
nobody knows about it. And
Absolutely.
that's what it's kind of like for me. I don't know how much of an impact this is really making.
Right. But just let's go out on a limb here. Jeremiah, just imagine this did happen. Let's just imagine you love Tua, you support Tua. Just imagine Brady does come to Miami, Sean Payton comes to Miami. What would that have looked like?
Well, first of all, it's gonna be sellout each and every
Of course.
time. There'll be no time for no Dolphins, real Dolphins fans to even get tickets because of media coverage and everything else. I mean, that's the bigger picture of just the media aspect. But at the same time, I feel like it will block a lot of I would say just blocked a lot of other opportunities for a lot of different guys to actually get some recognition sometimes too. Because you saw just last year what Brian Flores did with the things that he had with Xavier Howard, not to mention with Jalen Waddle, with so many different players. Because I know Tom Brady, he can make a lot of players better when he is on that court. But I mean, on the field. But at the same time, I just feel like him going there and also Payton is going to be a lot of distractions.
And it would have been something to watch. I don't know if they would have got Tyreek Hill though. I don't know if that would have happened because I don't think Kansas City would have shipped him, being that Brady would be down there. I don't think they would have had that happen just by conference and different things like that. But it would have
They'll
been
win
insane.
their
Like, that'd be
division
crazy.
though. They'll win the division.
Exactly. And just
Every
imagine,
time.
like, okay, you got the Bills, the Patriots. He'll play his former team twice. Then you play the Jets, and then you'll play whoever else. But that would have been crazy. But let's head into Kevin Durant. So I thought this conversation wasn't, this was going to die down for, a while. It has died down, but now it's ramped back up. Kevin Durant's back on the internet on his burner account, arguing with people. Now the reports are saying that he went to the owner and told the owner, it's either me or you fire Steve Nash. So the owner does come back. He says in his tweet, and I'll read it, he supports his front office and his coaching staff. Dad, what does that mean?
Well, first and foremost, that's a bold move for a player to go to an owner, if that is true, and demand such a trade when they have given him everything that he wanted. I mean, they've compensated him handsomely, to the extent they compensated an NBA player. One thing that I'll say, we know that Kevin Durant's one of the greatest talents we'll ever see in the league, from just sheer size, ball handling ability, and just sniper. He can shoot. But here's the whole opportunity with all this, or the problem, is so and let me say it this way. So teams can do it. Teams do it all the time. Okay, teams can demand a trade, request a trade, do back alley deals with other teams, and a player can wake up the next morning and be shipped out, no matter how much is left on the contract, based off of whether another team want to pick up the options or not. So you kind of got to side with the player a little bit, because teams do it all the time and they have the ability to do it. Now there is a double standard, because people with get upset with the team, with the player, when the player decides to try to take control of their own destiny. And we kind of got to sit back and look, hey, it's business. The teams do it all the time. You hear stories of players, coming in one day, their lockers cleaned out, and they're being shipped to another team, and they don't have a say so in it. So you
Right.
kind of got to side with him on that. But here's where I think this is damaging basketball, and even just for me as a fan, is you're losing the parity. I need to see your marquee players in different places. I want to see these guys go head to head, and it's becoming kind of a circus to me, that guys are leaving teams, flip flopping teams back and forth. So even the fans of these teams traditionally, how can you get behind a guy when he's gone in 2 years? How can you really
Mm-hmm.
get pumped up about a guy when he's gone the next year? The year after that. And I think in the long run, that's going to really impact the NBA, because you're not building legacies. It's like, okay, a person won a ring with 3 different teams or 5 different teams, whatever it may be. And then it's turning into a situation where you don't, I mean, the days of the Celtics, the Lakers dynasties, the Chicago Bulls, and now we're looking at teams. I mean, I guess the closest thing to that right now would be the Golden State Warriors, and before that, you would say the San Antonio Spurs. But if you look over the last few years, that has really been scattered about the teams you see
Mm-hmm.
that are consistent. Of course, you had Miami Heat when they were making their run, but now it's becoming more and more scattered. And it just, for me as a fan, it's just kind of it's kind of disheartening, I would say, because I want to see the top players compete with each other. I don't want to see these all-out stacked teams, because it just becomes, I mean, if you're athletically better than everybody,
Mm-hmm.
your team has the best players, it's not competition anymore.
Right. I agree. I saw a comment from Voss earlier talking about, I believe it was where can Durant go from here? And I'm gonna be honest, I think what is gonna happen, I don't think Durant's gonna go to a contender. I just feel like, based off of what he just left a bad taste in that organization's mouth, even though we know what Kyrie caused a lot of turmoil there, but what Durant is doing, and I believe they were expecting him to be that leader, but I don't know where they got that from because he hasn't been a leader in this league like that. But um I don't know if he's going to be able to go to a contending team because I saw Colin Cowherd earlier. I saw his show earlier, and he mentioned this, saying that what team would trust Durant even after leaving Golden State the way he did? You know, you didn't want to stay there with Steph Curry and that organization who seems to have it together. Obviously, they draft well, they get players well, they make sure all of their players are happy, they're keeping their players, and you left that situation. Durant didn't get traded. He left. He wanted to be the top guy. And the moment you become the top guy and you don't perform well, now you want to leave. Where are you going to go? I genuinely don't know where he could go. Maybe Toronto. Jeremiah, you mentioned that earlier. Toronto. I don't know if he could go to Miami because Miami has a certain culture that's very tough. Like, especially playing with Jimmy Butler, that's a very tough, environment. They have a certain culture there. Where can he really go is the question. I've heard some conversations and people talking, maybe Anthony Davis and him swap. I don't know how that would work. I genuinely don't know. What do you think, Jeremiah?
Well, first of all, I cannot see him really going to the Lakers unless they are trading maybe LeBron for him. Because it's no way that I see that even happening. And even for the Miami Heat, they're going to want Bam Adebayo for him, and plus other things that the Nets are asking for, things that these teams are not ready to give you, especially for a player like Kevin Durant right now, which is not a young Kevin Durant, but one that is in his prime, but hitting that certain age.
I agree, Mike.
He has to watch his body. And for Kevin Durant, he is a person that really received everything since he been in the Nets organization. He received what he wanted. He got paired with who he wanted, and not to mention he had the luxury of even picking the teams that he wanted to be traded to. And this is my thing. And for him to be that selfish to where it's like, you do this for me, or you really can't be making demands. I mean, you chose to go here, so you got to honor that contract, or you could either let your organization trade you to where they're going to trade you, but you don't call the shots. You are not the owner of the team.
And my thing is now the conversation. I want to hear all the people that call him the best player on the planet. What currently, right now, what he's doing is making him the best player on the planet. Like, genuinely. The man, you can say all you want about LeBron, but LeBron has lived up to every contract he's been in. Even when he first started in Cleveland, then when he went to Miami, when he went back to Cleveland, now he's in LA. LeBron has delivered with every team he's been with what he had. Even he had less than other teams and still was able to make it happen. So I want to know why Durant gets this certain slack. Like, Durant, he's the best player on the planet. Okay, if he is, they should be doing a lot better and he should be wanting to stay there, correct? What do you think, Dad?
So with Durant, and just like I told you, just when starting with OKC, he had an opportunity to win a championship with OKC. Whatever reason, it didn't work out there. He had what he wanted. OKC would have given him what he wanted. He was doing. It's not a money issue. Then he goes to Golden State. They still, with all how stacked that team was, they gave him what he wanted, and he actually won championships. So now it's not about championships or money. He goes to the net. They give him even more money, and he's able to load the team how he wants. So now, what my question is, what is it really about now? Because you had the opportunity to win when you were the guy in OKC. You were starting out. That was the place to do it because you were the guy there. Yeah, you had Westbrook, but you were the guy. Let's be honest. You get to Golden State, of course, you're not going to be the number one guy because that's Steph Curry's home. Okay, they hadn't already had an established team. We all know the story behind that. Now you get your rings, you got your money. Now, and you even got some MVPs out of it. So now, what is it now? You get the team, you get the number one spot. You're the guy. This is your thing to make it whatever you want to make it. Now we want to move again. So it is, to me, it's not about legacy for him. I really can't put my finger on what it is about him. There was a comment about him being selfish. I don't know what it is because when it comes to money and accolades, he's received it. And I don't know what else can be done wherever he goes because every time you reset, you go backwards, in my opinion. you
Yes.
go backwards. So if you go to another team, there's no chance, there's no guarantee that it's going to work out. Because
Yep.
if you go to Miami, just like Jeremiah said, they're going to have to lose some of those pieces and to bring you in. So now it's not going to be as is. So now they're going to have to relearn. Okay, you're a new player. I do think that Kevin Durant needs to go to a team with a dominant point guard, another
I
type
agree
A
with that.
personality. He needs to go somewhere where there's somebody who's not afraid of the moment to the
Yes.
point of, and I'm not saying he's afraid of the moment, but somebody who's a
He
dominant
is.
player, because I think
He is.
he's comfortable. I think he's comfortable with playing the second role. I think he's very comfortable with that with another dominant personality. I think he's okay with it, and I think you can see that in Golden State. Hey, I don't have to take all the pressure. I don't have to be the guy. Steph, Clay, and all those guys are there. So I think that there's teams out there for him, but the problem is nobody's going to give up what they're willing to ask. Now, if this is Kevin Durant 5 years ago, maybe.
Maybe.
But now at his age, him just coming off of a pretty significant injury, it's going to be kind of tough, even with his ability, for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to invest this in him right now when the team's already done it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And Dad, but I have another one, Dad. So we say that you just said he doesn't have a problem with playing second, but he had no problem with getting the MVP, you know, like winning the MVP and being the top dog, how they say, in Golden State. So what was the point if he wanted to be okay? So the excuse was the first excuse when he was with OKC, he couldn't win with Russell. Okay, Golden State, he wins a couple of championships. He didn't feel the love from the arena or the organization how they did Curry, obviously because Curry was homegrown. He got drafted there. Okay, now he goes to Brooklyn with Kyrie, and then they had Harden at the time. What was the problem? Like I like you said that I don't even know what the problem is. What is your issue? Like they have given you, and I'm gonna be honest, what Durant has received from OKC, from Golden State, from Brooklyn is probably more than what LeBron has ever had. Like LeBron has never had like that kind of talent that Durant was able to have around him. And just imagine if LeBron did have that kind of talent. So Durant, you're getting everybody. You got a James Harden, you got a Kyrie, you got a Klay Thompson, a Steph Curry, and then a prime Russell Westbrook at that time. What more do you want? Like, what is his problem?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really have to have a thing of, I need to carry. It's almost like, just let me do my thing, just give me the ball, and I'll just make it work. It's never like, oh, you guys are struggling, I'm going to put me on your back, and,
no.
Well, you guys get on my back, and then I'll carry you guys. But I only see two teams that he can really go to, and that is Washington Wizards or Trailblazers. I think pairing those two up, But
the problem is, if I'm an owner right now in the NBA and I'm looking at this whole situation, I'm not taking the chance on Kevin Durant. You literally had, and then not to mention they just acquired Ben Simmons too. He's still a viable player. He's still a great player. You have Patty Mills. You have a lot of guys who can still play. And then on top of that, you had Kyrie and Harden. And when I look at it, like you had a huge stacked team at that time, and now you want to leave because it didn't go your way. So if it doesn't go your way with other teams, what is he going to do? What's he going to do?
They're the favorites.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. So we don't want to forget, Kevin Durant's one of the greatest sharpshooters. I will not take that from him.
But Dad, if that's the case, why are you leaving? If you're that guy, he says, I'm Kevin Durant. That's what he, remember, guys, he said that. Yeah. I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am?
What we got to be careful of. We got to be careful underestimating that. So the guy prepares. The guy is one of your best shooters ever. He is a matchup nightmare. So the thing is, I don't think as it's currently constructed that anybody's going to move on him. But is he going to make a team better wherever he goes? Yeah, he will definitely make a team better. So I will be, I wouldn't be surprised now if it happens. But I just, in my opinion right now, it's just like with that much left on his contract and what the Nets are trying to get from other teams, it's going to be very difficult to move on him right now. And me personally, if he decides, because more than likely I think he's going to be on the next team this year because there's a lot of implications with money and different things like that. that he is still going to be someone that you're going to have to deal with. So we still got to be careful because the
But
man
Dad,
can
I'm
play
not
ball.
saying, but Dad, I'm not taking away the talent aspect. It's not even
Yeah,
about the talent with him anymore. It's
yeah,
literally the antics, what he's doing. Everybody is not saying that he's a phenomenal player. We all are aware of that, but how he's going about things is questionable. Like
And especially how this year
yeah,
ended as well. I
exactly.
mean, it,
yeah.
And
how you just got the only team swept.
And then remember the reports. This report was last week, but it didn't gain as much traction. He was saying he told I forget a former player. One of the former players came out and told a media outlet that he already knew that they were going to lose to Boston. Why would you I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, why would you say that? Or if he didn't, that's conflict of interest, because if that's your friend, you shouldn't be saying that, that kind of thing.
But this is a lesson for
those
owners.
were the reports that came out. It's not the fact of his talent. It's about his competitive spirit. Are you competitive? Do you love the game of basketball? Really? That's my question, because it's like, okay, you were OKC, and we were, Dad, you remember we were big Kevin Durant fans. I even said when LeBron retires, I'm gonna be all in with Kevin Durant. But when he went to Golden State, he left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because it's like, okay, it doesn't seem like you're competitive. Okay, then you win the championships over there, then you leave, you go to Brooklyn, and it's like, and then you add more people. Now in Brooklyn, it didn't work out. Now I want to leave. It didn't work out. Let's leave.
So I think it's deeper than competition for me, because I won't say that he's not competitive. Because to play at that level on any team, he's a professional basketball player, but he's a top tier basketball player.
Yes.
So to be a person to put the prepare, to put the work in at that level, there has to be an extreme level of competition. I think it's something deeper than competition for him, and he's seeking something, and maybe it's very obvious what he's seeking, or maybe it's not, because just like I said at the beginning, he's got all the accolades, he's got everything. Kevin Durant is a very competitive. He's competitive. There's no doubt about that, because to get up every morning and to perfect the way his game, the way he can shoot, the way he moves, you got to be competitive to do that. You got to have some sort of drive.
Yeah, it's just the question of how he's going about things. I'm questioning his
Oh no,
spirit.
I completely agree. No, but hold on, I completely agree with it.
For example, you're not going to see Michael Jordan go join the Pistons. You're not going to see that happen.
But this is
you're not going to see LeBron go join the Celtics, even though the Celtics claim they broke him. You're not going to see that happen. So you were up, and it's not like you were getting beat up by Golden State. You were up 3-1, and you lost, and you joined the team. That's insane. It still doesn't sit right with me. But
so with him and that, I don't think so. For me, the passion of the competitive spirit. So for him, it may not be as important. And if you look at the league today, in a lot of instances, it's not as important, because the key thing is a lot of these guys are cool with each other. That's another part of it. So when you got a situation where, okay, I am cool with Draymond, I'm cool with Steph and them. Oh, it'd be cool to go play with him. I still don't agree with the fact that he moved there, because you really tipped the scales. Because to be honest with you, I don't think Golden State would have won another championship against Cleveland and LeBron.
Nope.
But they tipped the scales. So the fact that they tipped the scales, it kind of, hey, we'll never know now. And just like I was saying, it's more so, it's a different league now. These guys don't hate each other like that anymore. And even some of the times back in the day, there were instances where the guys were still cool, but there's not this hate for each other, which makes it easier for these guys to say, hey, well, I want to go play with this, or I want to go play with that person. And that, I don't know if that's damaging the league. I don't know. But that hate means that I don't mind if I don't play with. I can play with anybody. Now, you would have never seen LeBron play with Kevin Garnett and them guys over there. You would never saw that, because they genuinely did not like each other.
That's even saying
they didn't like each other. They genuinely didn't like each other.
They didn't like the Pacers. He didn't like the Bulls. That whole Bulls team
genuinely didn't like each other.
We don't have that. Honestly, we don't have that anymore. Like, you remember, like, Dad, you watched.
There was bad blood. There was really bad blood between
to
them.
This day. For example, even to this day, Dad, Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas still don't like each other. They still don't like each other.
Yeah.
At all. Like,
which that created some wonderful basketball.
Right. And
They've
it's like,
created some
I don't
wonderful
know if today,
basketball.
right? I don't know if today, Dad, like you said, and that's a good point. If there's that, I'm not saying the guys aren't competitive, but it's just now it seems like everybody's buddy and friendly. Like, oh, they have
Yeah,
deals off the court, they got deals over here, they have the same agents. Literally, all these
yeah.
guys have the same
Well,
agents.
that's why I like Giannis. That's why I like Giannis as well. Giannis,
Right, Magic
because
and
Giannis
Bird,
had
right?
made some comments. Yeah, I like that Giannis wants to make his own way in Milwaukee.
Exactly.
He's won a championship. Now, there's still some more work to be done for him because, it seems like they're starting to slide back a little bit. But I like
I think
Giannis's
they'll be
approach.
back
Like,
though.
he does not want to be stacked up with everybody. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he made those comments a while back
Yeah.
about all this switching and mixing and all that. Now, to me, it's becoming, and I think it has a lot to do with the entertainment culture is starting to mix into basketball or any of these sports,
Yes.
really, but it seems to
Right.
be hitting basketball the most, where you're seeing more of the entertainment side. And these
Yes.
guys have these massive deals, making massive contracts, and it's like, I don't care if I'm playing here or there. Now it's more so about the individual brand. And
Right.
basketball being that it has a lot to do with, yes, it's team, but it's a lot of individual plays that have to be had. Now these guys are building these brands because now you see their face, their likeness. They're making a lot of money in a lot of
Yes.
different ways. Till I think it's kind of the competition. They're still competitive, but I think it's slipping about the loyalty
Yes.
from place to place. I think it has some more to do with loyalty than competitiveness.
Right. And it's just, I remember those days where those guys, like I remember the days where the Miami Heat used to battle the Pacers. I remember the fans didn't like each other. I remember the players didn't like each other. Even when Heat played the Bulls. Even
Oh, the fans are
even
still the
though,
same way though. The fans are
yeah,
still the
but
same.
even though that, like, even when the Spurs and Heat played, like, you felt that even though the Spurs were a very respected team, but you still felt that, like, it was like, no, I don't want this. I don't like this team. Like, it's just not like, now it's like, okay, those guys are friends and they're just doing it for like entertainment. Some of those guys are faking now. Like, okay, we're faking that. Let's fake fight. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
or fake argue or like get in each other's faces. It's not even like that anymore. It's not, it doesn't run deep like it used to be. Like you said, I think the league is changing, all this money, so all these guys probably don't care. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna play, I'm getting my contract, and then I'm doing what I do. And that's probably why the NBA is starting to dip a little bit. Like, I mean, literally, it's becoming less popular amongst the people. Like, they're not enjoying all of this jumping ship and just all these different things. They don't like it.
yeah.
So we'll definitely see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. Um, who knows where he's going to go, honestly. And based off of what the owner said, he's probably gonna they're probably gonna ship him out. But that wraps up tonight's show. That concludes everything. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Jeremiah. And thank you, Richard, for being on the show as well. That was a phenomenal conversation that we had earlier. If you guys want to be a guest on my show or watch past episodes, including this one, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. And you will see me here next Monday for more Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, for more sports talk. Have a good night.